welcome to another Huddle Breakdown Extra Time. I'm your host Martin Murphy, and joined as ever by James and by Alan. So a lot of things to get through, folks, today. Firstly, I'd just like to thank the Celtic boards. Any subscribers that have been with us for a wee while know that we've been really banging the drum about having a competitive Scottish league to play in. So that's been very much, what's been going on behind the scenes there. I think we could well be in for a competitive season, but we'll go into that in a bit of depth today. So we're going to be looking at the transfer window, the end of that, the squad that Celtic has. We'll be looking at our competitors both in European competitions. Yes, we're still in a form of European competition, folks. Europa League will be hopefully toasting a success in that. And we'll also, of course, be looking at other Scottish teams and where they're at in terms of their squads, and if we can look forward to some domestic dominance. And we'll be looking at maybe areas within the Celtic squad as well. So let's get started, guys. Come to you first. Just a nice gentle opening, guys. I'll come to you first, James. How are you, my friend? You doing okay?
I'm doing okay. Yeah, all things considered. Just real quick, want to thank Sean and Chris had me on Celtic World last night. So for everyone in the UK, that was live at 1 a.m. UK time. They do a North American focus show. So yeah, thanks to those guys for having me on. Had a lot of fun. Got to drink while doing a podcast. It was great. As you guys know, we usually record earlier in the day for me, so it was nice to have a couple of beers while. It's like more like being in the pub than being a spreadsheet checker, but it was good.
We always drink, don't we, Alan? Just during these podcasts as well. Makes them much more interesting. Makes them much more interesting. What about you, Alan? How are you getting on?
Yeah, good. So it's change all around. James was doing his empty nesting a week or so back, and that's all. That's the first couple of weeks of this month. Shopping and planning and ferrying and delivering and all that sort of stuff. So it's all changes in the air. I'm sure there's something about that.
Okay, so we'll get right into things, guys. So you two were going through the transfer window earlier in the week, but now that's it done and dusted. We had a late arrival and so forth. So if I come to you, Alan, in terms of look, it's been covered by many Celtic podcasts and so forth, So I wondered what your kind of general thoughts on the ins were. Do you see positives there?
Well, we were getting quite ranty on Tuesday. If you remember, it came out late on the Tuesday evening, and we'd recorded it sort of around the sort of tea time UK time on the Tuesday. So the window was still open for about 5 hours when we started, but we were just ranting on essentially for an hour. And there's been some good quality rants that I've seen since, actually. So I've got to have
some beauties,
all the various Celtic podcasters and so forth. I honestly really didn't think it would actually turn out to be worse than what we were ranting about 5 hours before the window closed, but it did. It actually did. It was like I say, ranting isn't actually my default, and others have done it and will do it a lot better.
You're pretty good at it, to be fair, if it's not your strength.
Well, I do on a genuine level. I just think the amount of bad will, bad faith that Celtic seem to have operated under in terms of the way they've treated other clubs and their own employees, their own players. And I'm thinking of people like Stephen Welsh and Yang and Adam Ida, Inamura, and now Yamada, which we'll come on to, is a different issue. Is shocking in terms of people going for medicals or people having deals agreed. I mean, listen, I know this is football, and I know everyone's growing up and all that sort of thing, and consenting adults, etc. But one thing that Celtic, always had the sense that they were at least respectful to the people they were doing business with, other football clubs. But we honestly seem to be in a position where we are just simply reflecting the person who's in control. We have no respect for anybody else. We're right, they're wrong. Everything has to be on our terms. There's no room for maneuver. If you don't like it, then F you, basically. And we've all worked for different organizations and worked with different people, and the culture is set from the top. And if you have a working in a culture where that is how people operate, and it's driven by fear, and it's driven by you do what I say and no questions asked, then guess what? People start to behave in a way that is acceptable to the person who gives them their bonuses or grants them their authority. The behaviour of Celtic throughout this transfer window, irrespective of the outcomes and the results. Let's be true to what we are. We're a performance podcast. We try to put performance first and explain outcome rather than celebrate or cry about outcome, and then not worry about performance, whether it's actually good or bad or indicative of future performance. The performance, irrespective of who we have brought in, of Celtic as a football club and as an employer, has been appalling, absolutely appalling, and that has to go to the blame for that has to go to the person who sets the tone, who sets the culture, who sets the expectations for the employees within the club. I get the sense that nobody is operating in a way that they would have been trained or expected to under normal circumstances. The C level within the club don't seem to be doing their job. The football operations department don't seem to be doing their job. And maybe because they don't feel they can. And I'm sure they're not happy. I'm sure there are lots of people in the football club that are not happy about this, and I'm sure Brendan Rodgers is not happy. I'm sure lots of people are not happy, and that's maybe something we can think about when we get onto the topic of change again, and where we go from here. But my overriding feeling really is sadness, as I say, sadness that the club is now such a laughing stock in terms of transfer negotiations. Must be a terrible place to work. Has trodden all over a number of young men's careers in this transfer window, and it's just an appalling way to do business.
Yeah, and just with what you're saying there, one of the things that does concern me a little bit as the season progresses is, this kind of miasma of negativity that seems to be hovering over the club at the moment. That can often get in the way of the playing squad. And if it's on the manager's mind, then why wouldn't it be? That can also transmit itself into, I think, player performance a little bit as well there. James, just to come to you, I suppose one aspect that has disappointed me about the overall window as well, among many, is that when we're looking at the recruitment, it doesn't seem that logical in terms of the type of player that we've got in to fill particular positions. We know the kind of areas that needed some strengthening in the squad, and I don't think that we've got it. We seem to be signing lots of kind of left-sided. Are they wingers? Are they midfielders? Or, is it a left back? Isn't it? Is it a centre back? It just doesn't make much sense to me. What's your thoughts? Am I wrong?
I have not been able to suss out a strategic direction. I think in hindsight had some irrational hope that we were maybe seeing some emerging coherence early in the window if we were going towards kind of a shift in tactics, but that hasn't been the case. So like Balak was like, oh, okay, well, it could be an inverted winger and or a 10 or you know um but I don't know, it just doesn't look like that's what's happening. So maybe they'll come out of um the international break with a recalibrated game model, but I'm not holding my breath on that. But back to the damage that may have been occurring relative may have occurred, might be baked in the cake now. I mean, everyone, I shouldn't say everyone, a lot of people hear things. You hear things about how this goes on, that goes on. You get in this world of very motivated and some in the know types around the club, and I oftentimes don't share stuff I hear.
We hope you enjoyed this free preview from all of us here at the Huddle Breakdown. We know you have options and we really appreciate you tuning in. To hear the rest of this episode and for much more Huddle Breakdown content, head on over to www.huddlebreakdown.com. We hope you consider subscribing. Thank you.